Okay, so today's lecture is on 12.4, measures of position. So in the previous lectures, right, we covered two major topics, right, measures of central tendency. So that was mean, median, and mode. Let's just put two. And then after that, right, we covered measures of dispersion. So that was range and standard deviation. So all those measures, right, all those characteristics described like the overall set of data, right? So described overall set of data. So here, measures of position, right? So they describe, there will be a couple of those, right? So they describe a certain item. So let's just write it down. So describe certain or specific item, right? So specific data point, certain item of a data set. Okay. All right. So there'll be a couple of those measures. The first one is z-score. So that, right, just like, right, all those measures of position, right, so that describes, well, the position of a specific data point in relation to the other data points. Right, so I'll give you an example in a second. So like a working definition, we could write how many standard deviations x differs from x bar, right? So x is just our certain item, right? Certain value, certain number, and x bar was the mean, right? So we will subtract this mean from that x and divide it by the standard deviation, right? So there's a formula for it, for that z-score. So that's x minus x bar divided by s, right? So standard deviation is s, x bar is the mean, and the x is the data point, right? The value taken from the data set. All right, let's look at how it works, right? That's the important part. So example 1. So we have Cyrus and Aisha are in two different. So let's say they're taking the same course, but they're in two different classes, like history, say history classes. So on a midterm, Cyrus scored 86 points, or 86%, and Aisha 78. So now, based on z-score, which student did better? Well, let's put the relatively better, right? Okay. So you understand, right, that the grade, like B grade in one class is not the same as B grade in the other class, right? The other class might be more difficult, or the teacher might be, the grading of the other teacher might be more strict, and things like that, right? So we have to have a way to compare these two scores and these two students. So we have Cyrus and then Aisha. So this is the class mean, right? So like the mean score of all students in the class, 73 in this class and 69 in this class, right? And then the standard deviation. So data spread, right? Standard deviation. So in this class is 8, so there's a pretty large spread, and here is 5. Okay. So now you see that just by looking at the class mean, right? You can see that this score of 78 is actually pretty high compared to the mean. Well, 86 is also high compared to 73, but here the spread is much larger, right? So, well, let's see how it works out. So we have Cyrus. So I need to take whatever Cyrus got, right? So x is 73, and the it's 86, and x bar is 73, so we subtract these two and divide by 8. Okay, so what we get is 1.625. Okay, so that's Cyrus. Now Aisha. So we have 78 was Aisha's score, minus 69 and divided by 5. Okay, so that gives me 1.8. Right, so these are the solutions, these are the z-scores of these two students. And we can see that Aisha actually did better, right, compared to the students in her class than Cyrus did, even though Cyrus scored much more, or well, you know, more than Aisha, right? 86 versus 78. Okay, so let's just write it here. So positioned relatively higher. Okay, so you know, like teachers curve the grade, so maybe this score of 78, right, Aisha's score, maybe this was even an A, right, and this could have been B. Okay, anyway, let's move on. So another measure I want to talk about is percentiles. Okay, so we'll have four different measures. So percentiles, they're related to deciles and quartiles, which we'll talk later. But for now, let's look at percentiles. Okay, I'll give you a definition. Alright, so the percentile is, you probably heard of it if you've taken SAT, or you are taking, or you will be taking. Okay, so here's the definition. Approximately. So then x and percentile. Okay, so denoted denoted PN. Okay, so just a quick example. Let's look at that SAT, right? So Scholastic aptitude test. So basically what this says is, let's say you scored what? I don't know, 83rd percentile. So this is SAT, right? So 83rd percentile, means that you scored better better than 83% of students of SAT takers. Okay, so yeah, 83rd means right, that you have 83 below you. Okay, 83% of students below you scored less than you. Okay, it doesn't mean that you answered 83% questions correctly. Right? That's not what that means. Okay, so let's look at an example. Example 2. Okay, so I have a set of data. I'm not going to write it, but I'll show it to you. So number of customers in a restaurant on 40 consecutive days. Okay, so here's the data. I'll put it here. Okay, so so these are ranked, right, from the least to the greatest. There's 40 data points, and yeah, they range from 46 to 88, right? 46 the smallest number, 88 the biggest number. Okay, so we'll keep that data set in mind. Maybe I'll just leave it here. You guys can see that. And what do we need to do? So we need to calculate. So find 65th percentile. And B, find 88th. Okay, so basically we'll find we'll figure out 65th% of this set, right? What is in other words, well, we just calculate 65% of 40, right? So we'll find which of those values is the 65% of 40. Okay, so let's just calculate it. 65% of 40, so that will be 0.65 times 40. Right, so that gives me 26. Okay, but that also includes that 26 number, so we need to go one number or one position higher, right? So take 27th item, right? And that's gonna give me that 65th percentile. So 27. So this is, and it's 40 data items. So this is 10, 20, 30, and 40. So we need to take 27th. So this will be 20, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so it's this one. So that's 68. Okay, so 68 is the 65th percentile. Okay, I hope you understand why we need to go up. Because of the definition, like 80 when you scored on SAT at 83, so you have 83% of SAT takers below you, right? Okay, so 65, it's going to be 26, so 26, so 27th item, right, 68, will have 26 below you, right, below 27. Okay, I hope you understand. Alright, so B, we need to find 88 percentile, so 88% times, or off, let's just write off 40, so 0.88 times 40, so we get 35.2, right, so we need to round up, okay, for the same reason as before, so that's going to give me 36, so I need to find the 36th item, right, so this is 30, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, so it's going to be 75. Okay. All right. Okay, so 75 is 88 percentile of this data set. Okay, so let's look at a few more of those. Let's look at the comparison between percentiles, deciles, and quartiles. So in general, right, generally speaking, or roughly speaking, right, we so those percentiles divide, speaking, divide data set into 100 equal parts, right? So sometimes we simply don't have 100, right? We have less data, like in this instance, right? We don't have 100 data points, right? We don't have more than 100 data items. So some of those parts, right, will be empty, right? So that is a problem. So we have to accommodate that, right? We can divide data set into less parts, right? Not 100, but in this instance, this will be 10 parts. So D1, D2 through D9, right? So D2, and then let's just put dots, comma, D9, right? So these will be those threshold items, right? Right, so you'll see that. I'll show it to you on the quartiles. Okay, so divide data set into 10 parts. Okay, and then quartiles, I'm not sure how you say that. So there's 4 of those, right? 4 parts, but 3 quartiles, Q1, Q2, and Q3, right? So this will be all the same, 4 parts, right? Why is that? Why do I need only 3, right? Why I need only 3? Let's say this is my data set, right? So this will be my Q2, the middle one, right? This one in the middle of Q2, I'll have Q1, and here I'll have Q3. Okay, so you see that I have 4 different parts. 1, 2, 3. I should have used different colors. But anyway, sorry. So 4 different parts, but only 3 quartiles, right? So 10 different parts here, but only 9 deciles. Okay. Alright, so let's stop here. It's been 20 minutes and we'll continue in a moment.